Alright, hello again. Today we are looking at our 5.7 notes, this time kind of flipping around what we've been doing the last few days. So while we've been taking linear inequalities and graphing them, now we're going to see if we can take the graph and write a linear inequality. So we've got some steps here for writing a linear inequality. The first step is the same as how you would choose to write a linear equation, and that's if you can identify the slope, of course, m rise over run, and identify the y-intercept. And that's b on the y-axis. And that's exactly how we'd write a linear equation. The next two steps are specific to linear inequalities, and it's about determining whether the shaded area is above. And remember, if you see that there is shading above the line, you know it must have been greater than or greater than or equal to. Those are both the inequalities that shade above the line. Or you're going to check to see, is it shaded below the line? And then you know that less than and less than or equal to are the inequalities that might have shaded it below the line. Then, of course, the line itself might be solid. And like equations used a solid line, so we now use solid lines when equal is a possibility. That's greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. Those are at least partially equal, and that means that the line itself is a solid line. But now we've seen sometimes we've used a dotted line, and that dotted line tells us the line itself is not actually part of the answer. That means it is not actually equal. Maybe it is just greater than or just less than. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple quick examples down here. So again, first thinking of it like a linear equation, I'm going to identify stuff like the slope. And I can pick a point on the graph. I'm going to look for another point that looks like it goes right through some nice coordinates there. And make a nice little map there that goes up to right 1. And so that's a rise and a run that goes up to right 1, 2 over 1, looks like m is 2. B, I'm looking for a y-intercept, that's a point on the y-axis. How about negative 4? So with those two values, the slope and the y-intercept, I can now write y, but I'm going to leave this blank for a second. It's not an equation, so don't put an equal sign there. Just kind of skip a blank space where our symbol will go. And on the other side, though, I can put my mx, 2x, minus 4. Again, so if this was an equation, if that was just a solid line, no shading, you drop an equal sign right there, you're done. But since it's an inequality, I'm now looking at it is shaded below the line. And since it's down here below the line, I know a less than symbol is appropriate. That's from right here. Whenever the shading is below, some type of less than symbol is appropriate. So I'm going to drop a less than symbol in here. And then I also notice the line is dotted. And from right here, when you have a dotted line, that means you don't want it to be equal. Well, that is not equal, so I think we're in business here. Y less than 2x minus 4 is the linear inequality that matches with that graph. Let's go ahead and try one more. Looking in this one for a slope. Find a point on the graph. Find another point that goes through nice coordinates. Make a little map here that goes down 1, right 3. That's a rise and a run that goes down 1, right 3. Remember, I like the arrows because if you go down 1, think of it like a negative 1. Right 3 is like a positive 3, so this is like negative 1/3. Of course, that downhill slope, remember we read it left to right, a negative slope going downhill. I need a y-intercept point on the y-axis at positive 1. So again, I'm going to put all the pieces in place except for the symbol in the middle. So there's my y. I'm going to skip the inequality symbol for now and do mx plus b. That's negative 1/3 x plus 1. Negative 1/3 x plus 1. Now, as for the symbol in the middle here, if it was a linear equation, drop an equal sign. But this time I'm again going back to it is shaded above. I'm looking at all this shading up above the line. So if it's shaded above, I know I need some type of greater than symbol. And I'm going to drop that in there, some type of greater than symbol. And then this time I see that line is solid. So like an equation, it could be equal. And I know if I see a solid line, I need my equal sign, my or equal to. So it looks like greater than or equal to was a good choice for that one. and that's y greater than or equal to negative 1/3 x plus 1. So that's it for the 5.7 RSG notes. At this point, can you also work on the 5.7 RSG, just numbers 1 through 6 for today? Thank you all very much.